Welcome back. We're going to work on adding a budget. A budget is the internal expenses that are incurred in a project. That is, there is per diem, there is transport if the team is moving from one position to another, maybe to the site, that is attached specifically to this project. The budget will also include if the construction is going to be done by the internal team. That is meaning it is the internal team that is going to do the construction, not the subcontract. If it is the internal team that is going to do the construction, then the budget for that construction is done at this point where you're going to add a budget for that construction team. This will involve also each and every expense that is incurred in a project by different departments, including the health and safety, the administration, each and every internal expense, it's going to be captured this stage. So to add a budget, and this at this point, we presume that the budget committee have already sat down and have agreed, and the budget is approved. That this is the budget that is going to be used on a specific project. So at this stage is just adding or updating the budget on the system so that users now can start making a request against that specific budget. So the person authorized to add a budget will come to budget and expenses and add a budget. A budget must be attached to a project. So you come here and choose a project. Let's work with Kapenguria. Again, once you create a budget for a specific project, you can only create a budget once for a project, but you can always edit. In case there is an additional, you can always add an additional budget. So you choose the project, the expense type. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 types of expenses that we have pre-thought that would be involved in a project. One is the traveling expense. You can say that for the traveling expense, let's give it 12,000. Let's say this is the construction team. Construction team traveling budget. Here, allowed request roles, you choose who is authorized to make a request towards this budget on traveling expenses, because again we want to separate the traveling budget for the administration and also the traveling budget for the construction team, maybe the supervisor, the technician, but as you would wish. So we can say this budget goes to the supervisor, technician, and surveyor's design. Means we can add the budget. That simply means it is only these guys or a person who have this role who can make a request for this budget, traveling budget. You can also create another traveling budget, maybe 20,000. Let's say this is administration. Then you choose who can request. Who can request against this budget. So what happens when you go to request, the person requesting, if it is a supervisor, they will only be able to see this budget and they can only request against this specific budget line. The next type is accommodation or per diem. Let's say we have 10 days per diem rate if it is for technicians or supervisors or whichever roles share a common per diem. And you can say there's a budget for that. You can say this is per diem, supervisors, or whichever descriptions that you want to assign. Then you choose who can make request on that expense. And also have another per diem, 5 days at 2,500 for 2 persons. This is for the project manager. Then you choose that is only the project manager who can make request against that against that budget, or you'll be able to see that budget. We have designed in a way that it will give you the total budget for that project. The other expense type is we have dealt with accommodation, so wages. Maybe you're in the construction team, the budget for construction team, and there is a rate a day per person. So you give a budget that we are going for 20 days, and the rate is maybe 800. We have five, for example, if it is assistant fundis or the construction assistant team, construction casual team, or technicians, or fundis, whichever role you want, whatever description you want to say. We are just ensuring that we have 20 days at rate of 800 for 5 persons. The other type is casual rate. For example, if you have maybe, for example, there are poles being logged up a hill. We have like, can say we have like 20 poles, and the rate to log per pole is maybe 500 for logging. Person who can make this request is the supervisor or the technician. The budget. The next type is dynamic. Dynamic is maybe in fiber there is manholes instruction. You give a name or you give a description of what that expense type is. Say we have like 5 manholes. These are pieces, and per piece is maybe 2,500. Then you give a description, manhole preparations. Then you select who can make this request, say supervisor or a project manager. So you add that type of expenses. The last one is custom. Custom is where there is no calculation being done, but it's basically something like traveling. Here, let's say we have marketing. Say that we have a budget calling marketing. Who is allowed to make these requests? Maybe supervisor. You will note, let me refresh this so that it is saved. Every time you are using custom, you'll see that marketing appears here. So this helps you to have a unique, it is a pre-saved, it is saved, so that if you have a custom name that we are calling marketing, the next time you are creating a budget, marketing will show up, so that have a consistent name. So that is custom. Let's say we have lunch at 12,000 lunch. We can say everybody can make a request on lunch. So now you have your budget, the descriptions and the amount and the total budget. Once you are satisfied with that, you request a budget approval. Sorry, let me show you something. Part of the approval, or what the person who is approving will look into, is the allocated amount. There is the project name is Kapenguria. The allocated amount is 120,000, but the budget amount is 249. This means when approving, the approver will be able to see the 2 instances and make a decision whether to proceed with that budget, or they need to sit down again and change the allocated amount for that project. So this is where the person again who approves, that one is handled in the next week. We can still handle it here, but we have seen how to add a budget and request for an approval. So the person who is going to approve will just come here and click approve or click reject. And once it is approved, it appears now on, let me refresh this. It appears now at this point where now we have that budget has been approved, and you can view the comments that was made during the approval. In case you have consumed all the budget and you need an additional budget, or maybe you missed out something and the budget has already been approved, you can come here at this point on budget list and make an additional, request an additional budget. An additional budget is simply, again, the committee will sit down and approve that we need to make an additional budget. Note, initially here is 249. So when we make an additional budget, you can say 120,000 additional budget for maybe fuel. Add an headway. So that budget is added. So when you come here, this is the additional budget. So the effective total is 369. Now you will note that the additional budget, we have added amount, but we have not yet slotted. We have not yet slotted it to the budget line. And slotting it to the budget line, I mean, come here to edit. We have the project Kapenguria. We need to slot the amount to this budget line, or because we have 120,000 from the additional budget that is not available for request. Yes, the money has been invoked, but it is not, has been added, but it is not assigned to any expense type. So when editing a budget, we have prepared this. You will see the project initial budget was at 249. The additional budget that has been added is 120. So the total effective budget is 369. The total allocated to expense line is this amount. Pending allocation is this amount. This means that this budget or the additional budget has not been allocated to any expense type. That means it cannot be requested. So we need to add, you can say for lunch or for marketing. Let's give it an additional for marketing, the 120,000. Note, additional, let's call it additional budget for marketing. Then let's give it to accountant. Then we can save. Note, if we add extra more than what is pending, we cannot be able to save this budget only until it is exact or less. So we cannot budget for amount that is not there when it comes to additional budget or editing a budget. So we can assign. Once we assign, you'll see that the pending allocation is 0 amount. Still at this point, in case you need to maybe remove some amount from traveling expense from construction team, and maybe we want to take this 2,000 from traveling expenses by construction team, and we need to add it to the administration budget, the traveling expense for 2,000. What you do, you edit this point. You less the 2,000, so it becomes 18. So once it is 18 here, that means there is 2,000 that is pending allocation. That is what you allocate here. So now it stops becoming 1,200, 12,000, 14,000. Now you update. So the pending allocation again becomes 0. What we have done, we have not added, we have not changed the budget, but we have moved the 2,000 from this budget to this budget and we have increased this. So that is how you edit the budget. That is how you add the additional budget. And that is how you adjust the budget line, maintaining the original overall budget. So let's meet in the next session. Thank you.